The sun rises over Manhattan, gold light spilling across the glass towers, and at the very top of one skyscraper stands a man who seems to own the whole skyline. His name is David King, a record label legend famous for having the sharpest ears in the music business. But this morning, the view means nothing to him. His company, the one he built from nothing, is slipping through his fingers. He has already sold off most of his shares, and the buyers circling the rest belong to a media giant that sees music only as a product. If they close the deal, King loses control of everything he has spent his life creating. So he starts making calls, one after another, offering to buy back every share he can, even if it costs him more than he originally earned from selling them. Back home, his wife Pam listens to his plan and offers her own take on how to steer the company through the storm. Their son Trey drifts in next, mentioning he has a basketball game today and that his best friend Kyle will be there too. King offers to drive him himself. In the car, he notices Trey glued to his phone and asks how many hours a day he spends staring at the screen. Trey shrugs and admits it varies wildly, sometimes stretching past half a day. King teases him about it, half joking, half genuinely concerned. At the school, Trey opens up about how deeply he loves music, and King walks him onto the court to shake hands with the coach, who is thrilled to have him there. Nobody at that gym has any idea that King's entire empire is teetering on the edge of collapse. He slips away before the game even starts, letting his son believe he is staying, because there is work only he can do. Outside, his driver Paul, who also happens to be Kyle's father, hands him a folder packed with the company's financial details. King heads straight to his office, where his business partner Patrick is waiting. King lays out the threat. Label executives want to gut the roster of human artists and flood the market with AI-generated tracks because they're cheaper and faster to produce. Patrick, to King's frustration, seems to see the logic in it, pointing out how expensive and risky it is to bet everything on flesh and blood talent when a single flop can bury them. King pushes back hard. This company was never built to manufacture songs with machines, he says. It was built on souls poured into every track, and he refuses to let that legacy die just because every other label is racing toward automation. Patrick asks what he actually wants. King tells him plainly, sell his shares back, so the majority ownership returns to King and no outside force can dictate the label's future. After a long pause, Patrick agrees. Elated, King rushes home to share the news with Pam. She's supportive but practical, reminding him that Patrick won't hand over his stake for free, and they don't have anywhere near enough cash sitting around. King's answer is to mortgage everything they own, every property, every asset, betting it all on the label's future profits. Pam warns him this is reckless, especially after he promised to slow down and spend more time with her, especially with Trey preparing to leave for college. King insists this is his last shot at saving the one thing he has devoted his whole life to. Pam relents, and the two of them settle into a quiet moment reminiscing about how they first met. That's when King's phone rings. A stranger's voice tells him Trey has been taken, and hangs up before King can respond. Panic rips through the house. Paul confirms the worst. Trey is missing. Police flood in, led by 3 detectives, Higgins, Bell and Briggs, who press King for every detail. The kidnappers, it turns out, are demanding 17.5 million Swiss francs, all in 1,000 note bills, or Trey won't come home alive. The detectives grill everyone close to King, starting with Paul, treating him as a suspect simply because he's the driver. They chase down Trey's coach next, but he knows nothing beyond watching the boy leave after the game. Then Paul realizes something horrifying. His own son Kyle can't be reached either. He tries to warn the detectives, but nobody listens to the driver. Moments later, Pam comes running with relief written across her face. Trey has been found, safe. But Paul's question hangs in the air unanswered. Where is Kyle? The detectives piece it together with sickening clarity. The kidnappers grabbed the wrong boy. Paul collapses inward, sobbing as he retreats into the house. Trey recounts what happened. After the game, he and Kyle grabbed lunch together. Then Trey left briefly for something else. When he came back, Kyle had vanished. The kidnappers call again, and their demand hasn't changed. Wrong boy or not, They still want King's money. Still the same staggering sum or Kyle dies. Paul begs King to pay, certain the police will eventually recover the ransom. The King is torn. Handing over that exact sum means losing his last chance to buy back his company, the very thing this entire fight has been about. He goes quiet, and Paul realizes there's no help coming from that direction. So he walks away devastated. King seeks advice from Patrick, who tells him to listen to his conscience, warning that if the boy dies, the public backlash will destroy him regardless of the company's fate. Trey echoes the sentiment, reminding his father how brutally social media can turn on someone who lets a child die to protect their fortune. Saving Kyle, Trey argues, might actually save everything, including the company's reputation. By morning, King has made his choice. He gathers the ransom in cash, along with Pam's cherished anniversary bracelet, which the kidnappers specifically demand. King resists giving it up until Pam quietly hands it over herself. Following strict instructions, King boards a train with the money, gets ordered off between two marked points, and eventually told to throw the bag. When he hesitates, he realizes too late they've hidden a tracker inside. Chaos erupts. Someone pulls the emergency brake, the train lurches, and the bag is snatched and passed hand to hand between scooters and motorcycles in a blur designed to shake off police. By the time the chase ends, the kidnappers have vanished with the real cash, leaving behind a decoy bag stuffed with nothing but paper. Kyle turns up alive in a public park and is rushed to the hospital. He can't identify where he was held, only that he sat in a bathtub while a song played on repeat, one he can hum note for note. The press turns King into an overnight hero for saving his driver's son, but the celebration is short-lived. His investors have discovered he's mortgaged everything and quietly pull their backing, giving him barely 2 weeks to repay what he owes or lose the company anyway. Desperate, King replays the song Kyle described and rushes to confirm it with him. The artist's stage name turns out to be eerily close to the word the kidnapper used to identify himself on the phone. Convinced this rising rapper is the culprit, King goes to the police, but they brush him off. So he and Paul arm themselves and track the artist down. His wife welcomes King warmly at the door, mentioning her husband wanted to work with him, and directs them to his small recording studio. Alone inside, King confronts the young artist, who calmly reveals the truth. He orchestrated everything because King never once gave him a chance despite years of trying to get his attention. King calls it exactly what it is, a crime, not artistry. The confrontation turns violent. A gun goes off, and a desperate chase spills from the studio onto a moving train, ending with King finally overpowering him. Police arrive, make the arrest, and recover every dollar of the stolen ransom. Paul, recovering afterward, refuses King's offer of money and credit, choosing instead to start over quietly with Kyle by his side. As the case moves toward trial, the kidnapper's music explodes in popularity, turning him into a strange kind of folk hero even as he awaits judgment. In one final jailhouse meeting, he tries to convince King to collaborate, promising it would make them both richer and more famous than ever. King refuses outright, telling him there is no future between them, and that he's ready to walk away from the empire entirely to build something smaller, rooted in the integrity he almost lost. Back home, Trey introduces him to a new singer with a haunting voice and a song called Highest to Lowest. King listens, impressed, and asks if she's ready for everything the industry will throw at her. She answers without hesitation. King simply smiles and tells her they're going to work together.